ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्.
Hi friends, today is again Saturday and it's the day of Mritunjaya. And I'm deeply grateful because today we have Navin Batta ji and he's from Oman. He hails from Bhopal, but he has been working in Oman for a few years now, and we'll get to know more about his work from him. He has a wife and two beautiful daughters, and he's going to share today his journey with his mother who passed over. What exactly happened, how did she pass over, and what were the visitation that happened to him. So Naveen ji, welcome. A warm welcome to you, Naveen. So Naveen, you hail from Bhopal, right?
Yeah, I come from Bhopal.
और कितने साल से you're in Oman?
Since 2004, there was a break for 1 year, which
Okay.
which will be a part of this the discussion of the story which I will
Sure.
share with you.
Yes.
And since then, I'm in Oman.
So it's about your mother, right, Naveen?
Yes, it's about my mother.
So can you share what exactly happened to her and how was your struggle with her sickness or illness?
Okay. See, my mother, somewhere I was working in Noida at that time. This was around 2003, before I moved to Oman, and she always had a frail health. And one day I get a call that she had vomited blood and she was taken to the hospital. The ultrasound was carried out and it was diagnosed that she was suffering from hepatitis C and hepatocellular carcinoma with liver cirrhosis. So when we spoke to the doctors, they told us, well, she was in stage 4 of her disease, and generally when cancer is, detected, it is generally at the last stage. So we were told somewhere around 4 to 6 months, depending on how she takes the treatment which was available at that time. Liver transplant was one option, but availability of liver was not that easy during those days. So we opted for the treatment which was available to her, and she started undergoing her treatment. In the meanwhile, I got a job in Oman, and this was offered to me by my ex-boss in India. So I was keen to relocate to Oman, but then I was in two minds whether to go or
That's
to
true.
stay back and be with my family.
Hmm.
I being the only child, so that responsibility, was on me.
Hmm.
But couple of months down the line, she started responding well to the treatment, and then I decided to go take up
Hmm.
the job in Oman, and then in October of 2004, I came to Oman.
Hmm.
Life went on; things were fine here. We started settling down.
Hmm.
2005 May, I went back on my annual leave, and when I saw her, she was not doing very well. Her disease had progressed, and she was suffering from the complication arising out of cirrhosis.
Hmm.
Um, Luckily, the cancer was limited to the liver, so it had not spread, but the liver was failing. This is another miracle which happened, before what happened after her death.
Okay.
We started giving her an homeopathic treatment
Hmm.
alongside her the conventional medical treatment, and miraculously she recovered. Uh,
Really?
yes, yes. In fact, her case was presented in Malaysia by the homeopathic doctor. The the doctor treating her at Bhopal Memorial Hospital were also taken by surprise. It was the combination or effort of both the therapies. I won't say it was entirely homeopathic, but both the doctors. We were very lucky to have very, very good doctors, and she started to improve, and her liver started to regenerate, which is not possible in cirrhosis.
Hmm.
She regained weight. She started eating,
Wonderful.
and 2005, second half, 2006, like she was absolutely fine and doing well. Now,
Wow. So,
yes,
was there any explanation by the homeopathic doctor as to how this has happened, how she has recovered like this?
no, he gave her medicines
Hmm.
uh, which were traditionally used for helping liver. This is basically it was silamarine.
Hmm.
I'm not very sure about the pronunciation,
Okay.
and a combination of other medicines. I have all the records. I have in fact written about
So,
her.
would you like to take the name of the doctor for others to be
Yes,
helped? The homeopathic
absolutely.
doctor.
His name is Dr. Nisant Nambison, and he is a professor in Government Homeopathic College. His wife is also a homeopathic doctor, and we know him, in terms there's a personal connection now, and I must say that he was like an angel who, you know, came up from nowhere, and um, and it was, she was back on her feet.
Wow.
Uh,
So this
yes.
must have surprised the medical doctors, right? That I mean, they must have given her a time frame that because of the an advanced illness, maybe she'll live for so many years. Did they say anything like that?
Fortunately, the doctor who was treating he was my senior in school, um, the quite senior to me.
Mm.
He was aggressive in his approach. He was experimental in his approach. He, in fact, gave her the latest treatment, and he was very optimistic about. He was logical in his outlook. He never discussed about how much life or how much time she has with her. In fact, she was happy with the progress. So the treatment given to her by the allopathic doctor was quite effective in containing the spread of tumor. And homeopathic subsequently neutralized two tumors which were additional on the liver, and a combination of the both the treatments helped her to recover. So the allopathic doctor was fine. He was aware of it, that she was undertaking this treatment, and he had no inhibition.
I think it's a very important thing for people to know that medical doctors, allopathic doctors, if they are optimistic, positive, if they don't tell the patient nor the family about the life expectancy that they expect, I think the person and the family can stay positive and they can look at other avenues of treatment also in a very optimistic manner. I think, Navinji, this is very important for people to know. I think you all stayed in that frame of mind, which was extremely positive, right?
Yes, and see, we are probably incorrigible in terms of our optimism that we won't give up. We knew that she's in her fourth stage. There's nothing to lose. But why not give her the best, what was available? Why not try out an alternate therapy without affecting the mainline treatment? Again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm repeating, the mainline treatment cannot be, is indispensable.
True.
Alternate treatment only complements the mainline treatment without interrupting it.
That's a
And
good message to give everybody.
yes, so that okay, during the treatment, like somewhere in 2005, when she was in a bad state, when I went and met her, she had to regularly visit the hospital to get a plasma therapy. So while sitting on her hospital bed, she asked me, like she called me by my nickname and said, what happens when one dies? My mother was always afraid of dying and was always afraid of dying of cancer. She finally got cancer, and but she reconciled very well.
Mm-hmm.
She reconciled very well, and I think I thought she was very courageous in accepting the inevitable. So when she asked me this question, what happens when one dies? I I was brooding that time. I was under a lot of confusion, living um, working in Oman, then also feeling for concern for her. So I told back, well, I don't really do not know the answer, but once you go the other side, please do come back and let us know or let me know. So this sort of hit her. It took some time for her to understand, but I think she got the message that yes, it is
Mm-hmm.
inevitable. And I then again I told her that I am being very clear. If this happens, if you pass away, go come back and give a message. Yes, there is a life after death. But that's the only option I have at this point of time to know the truth. And I was being very nonchalant about it, to be honest. And then she was fine, absolutely. Then, well, she recovered, so we forgot about it. 2006, she was absolutely fine, going out, living life very normal. 2007, at the end of 2007, that also went very fine. She came to Oman. That was something, again, I never thought she would be able to travel even.
Mm. Yes.
She came to Oman. She spent what, 15 odd days with me, and that probably was her last visit.
Mm.
And when she was going back, I remember the look on her face. When finally you have to enter, you have to clear the immigration, and that's the last of when you. I think she knew she was seeing me for the last time, and I probably also had a feeling that it was the last time when I would be seeing her. Anyway, she went back. December was fine. January 30th, 2008, all of a sudden she vomited a lot of blood, was taken to the hospital, was conscious. But next day, because of a lot of bleeding, she lost a lot of blood. She got a cardiac arrest, and the doctor advised us that she pull her out of the ventilator. And so finally, she passed away on 30th January 2008. And she was diagnosed in 2004. So from 4 or 6 months life expectancy went on to 2008. Did not die of carcinoma.
Correct.
It was basically the side effect of having cirrhosis is that the esophageal varices become weak.
Mm, mm.
That we did not pay attention to. Had we done the banding, probably the bleeding would not have had happened.
Okay,
So, but then that's it. We can't decide, and she passed away. So
right. So, Navin Jay, I want to ask you that you said that when she was leaving and she crossed the immigration and you felt you're seeing her for the last time. So, how did that feeling come to you? It just came to you, or she said something, or her look on her face indicated that to you, or it was just an intuitiveness that you felt it? What exactly was that?
well, I have had experience earlier also um, of afterlife and some other you know I was always interested in paranormal.
Mm,
So I, I have this feeling. I can very clearly understand the what you call it, the external environment, how it affects or impacts one's mood, and how intuition is there.
mm,
So uh, her health was always on my mind actually,
mm.
and that was that sometimes the face conveys everything. It all
Ah,
falls in place. The contours of your face, the expression,
mm.
everything, that's the way nature talks to you.
That's the way nature talks to you. Yeah. I think this is
And
such a it's like a gray zone, uh,
yes.
because you really don't know. I mean, only the person would know when that intuitive feeling comes in and when that thought comes in, and and it's so quick. It also possibly takes you by surprise. Did it take you by surprise when that thought came to you?
Actually, no, because from the day she was diagnosed
Mm,
and the time she passed, we had reconciled to her mortality.
mm,
Now, this is something not easy. It does not come easy to people, and it sometimes appear very odd.
mm.
But that's how I looked at it, um, and that was this is the reality we all have to face one day.
That's
Uh,
true. So you
so
weren't there when she passed away. Physically, you were not present. You were not in Bhopal at that time.
I flew down the next day, and I was at the airport. My father spoke to me that she has had a massive cardiac arrest, and I said, "Fine, please go ahead and tell the doctor. It's
Mm,
fine." Then we got her back, then did the last rites, and so that was end of her life on earth.
yes.
Okay. Then I came back. My father was alone, so that was on my mind. How would he manage himself? Though he was fine in terms of physical health, he could manage everything, and he had been, managing my mother for the last 4 years. So he could handle everything alone. But still, uh, you need company, and
Mm,
not possible for everyone to stay alone and manage oneself. But anyways, I had to come back because I had a job, and my family, my kids were studying here. They were small that time, but we were all settled here.
mm,
So I came back, and somewhere in the month of April of 2008, my father visited me, and he had just undergone a prostate operation. But when he came to Oman that time, he suddenly developed a complication, and he had to be admitted in a local hospital. From there, he recovered, lived with us for some few more days, and then went back to Bhopal. After a few days of reaching Bhopal, he called me and he says, "See, my mother used to be in her bedroom, and my father had a small office in the drawing room. So there was some. So he had given her a remote bell in case she needs anything, any assistance. She would press that remote bell, and the bell would ring, and he would go and help her."
mm.
He said that remote bell has started ringing. It's rang a couple of times the other night. So I was wondering what happened, what could be the reason. So I said, check if there is somebody else having a remote control. Well, probably frequency might match, and it might.
Correct. It may ring.
But he switched off, switched on, but it kept ringing once in
So
a while.
even when he switched it off, it was ringing.
Yes.
Okay.
That was strange. Uh, then uh, then he left it at. He switched it on. He left it at the way it was. Because the more it becomes, when you switch off and still it rings, you tend to become more, curious or a little more of
Nervous. Yeah.
nervous. So it's better to leave the way it was. And then one day my brother-in-law visited my father, and he also heard that bell ringing. And once I was talking to him on phone, I heard it.
Okay, so it was not like a specific time that the bell would ring or anything like that. It would ring in a random manner.
Random.
Okay.
We wouldn't know whether it was ringing at a particular time, but it was ringing. And then it kept ringing, so that started playing on my mind. Now, what next? I think I could understand there's something paranormal happening. And he living alone, and this thing happening was also of a concern to me, and then his health. So everything, and then this time I was working for a different company, so I had also were having professional stress. I was having difficulties at my job. It was all piling up. So here, what happens is in the afternoon we have a siesta from 1 to 3, 1 to 4 in the Gulf because of extreme heat. So I used to come home for lunch. So maybe in around May or June of 2008, I came home. And my wife told me once that my elder daughter, her name is Muskan, she was 9 years at that time, that she sees her grandmother. I said, how does she feel? She sees her in the house. I said, okay. I did not give much importance, but she again told me the next day. Okay. So I called Muskan and I asked her. She was sort of afraid in telling me, but I said, don't worry. Then I took her to the bedroom. I closed the door and I said, now speak to me. You don't have to worry. What used to happen when my mother was alive, they used to talk to her over the computer. Those days, Yahoo call.
Skype and all that. Huh?
Yeah. I had a small study, so my kids and my wife we used to sit and talk. So my daughter tells me that she saw her one day sitting on that chair. And when she came back to cross-check or check whether she is actually there, she saw that chair revolving. Now that's sort of
eerie. Yeah.
Then I asked her what next. She said when I was in the washroom the other day, I saw her and she came and then vanished into the wall. So that was something. I said, okay, let's talk to her. So she did not help me, and then I went back to office. The next day again, I wanted to explore it, take it further. So next day I came back. Somehow I managed to convince her to speak to her. So she sat on the bed, and behind her was a wall clock. I deliberately placed her in such a way so that the wall clock is behind her back. So I said, now call her. So she looked around the room as when we see, around the room, and she starts calling her, and then she says, now she's here.
She says, okay. Now she's here. Okay.
Now she called her name. He called her Dadi, and then I said, but I don't see anything. She said, well, she's standing in front of me, in front of her. And I said, okay, let me ask a few questions. And what is she wearing? She said she is wearing a green suit. And my mother used to wear a green salwar suit always. That was her favorite color. And then I asked her, please give me some proof that she is there. Can you ask her which school I studied? So I had studied in Campion School, Bhopal. and my daughter won't know that.
Mm.
So she asked her repeatedly,
Mm.
and then she utters in broken, alphabetically,
Mm.
camp, PIION, and like that she takes the full name.
Wow.
So, but we being skeptic, so I said no, I need more proof. But she was getting jittery, so she was trying to wriggle out of it. But I said no, please let me have few more
Mm.
questions, and I said,
Mm.
can you tell her what's the time on the clock? And
Mm.
the clock was behind my
Mm.
Muskan's. It was behind her,
Mm.
and she gave the precise time, 2:35 at that point. So, but still, I was not convinced.
Mm.
So I said, please ask her something more.
Mm.
Then she started relaying. She said one thing that Dadi is saying that when your granddad was here, I saw him in the hospital and he was not well.
Mm.
Now tell your dad, go back to Bhopal. I said,
Mm.
go back to Bhopal, but I don't have anything. I have a job here.
Mm.
But she said, no, she's saying you go back to Bhopal. But I said,
Mm.
tell her, what would I do there? I don't have
Mm.
anything, any job in my hand.
Mm.
I've been working here for now quite some time.
Mm.
But she said, no, she repeatedly saying, go back.
Mm.
But that's not possible.
Mm.
And anyways, then the daughter said, "No, I'm terminating this discussion. I'm feeling frightened," and she went away.
Mm.
Next day again, I came back and I said, "When last time you talked to her?" Then I made her talk very reluctantly. She was very
Mm.
reluctant. She said, "I feel frightened at night. Please don't force me." When I go, only one last time, do it
Mm.
for me.
Mm.
She agreed, and then I asked her for the message again.
Mm.
She said she's saying the same thing. Go back. I said, well, mm, uh, so be it, but I don't have any option. I have to stay here.
Mm.
The matter ended. I was sort of in two minds again. What's happening? The bell is ringing here. She comes here, and then my daughter stopped talking to me about that. She absolutely cut herself off. She was 9 year old, and I couldn't.
Correct.
She would
Yeah.
she would make up.
Did you not think, Navinji, that you can ask her if your mother can talk to you?
No, yeah, I told her.
Huh.
She said now she's talking to you, but I said I can't hear her. She said
Oh.
she's calling your name. I said I
Mm.
can't. See, for me it was nothing. For me, I could only see a child play act. You got
Right.
me.
Yes,
A
yes, I
child-
get you. Yeah.
But a 9 year old child cannot play act the way. I also asked her. You asked her what age would I live?
Huh.
She gave me that number also. So that's the now.
Oh my God. All right. What
So
were the
that's
other things, if you want to share? What else did you ask her? Any other
I.
information your mother gave you?
Uh, I think my school. I won't remember many things now, but there was a recording I did for the audio recording with my daughter, and unfortunately, that was the last part, last couple of minutes only. Whatever I had discussed for an hour, I do not remember.
Oh.
But she was not able to get out. Other than my school, the message that she wants me to go back, then yes, I did ask her with whom is she living now. She
Hmm.
said there is one auntie she's living with now. I said who is her? What's her age?
Hmm.
She couldn't describe that well.
Hmm.
And I said, is she happy? Is she fine? He said, yes, she is fine.
Hmm.
And I lost my sister long back, so I asked her if she has met my sister. So that answer did not come through.
Hmm.
So that was making me skeptical again. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So
But that is possible that she may not, your mother may have not met your sister because they can be in two different kind of dimensions. They may not be in the same dimension, so obviously she may not have met her. But it's very interesting how this 9-year-old child responded.
yes,
I mean, she can't be play acting because what is her reward? What is she going to get if she play acts? And she didn't want to continue doing it, because if she wanted some kind of reinforcement from you, then she would have continued play acting, but that was not possible. And that's not the reason why she got it. That's very interesting. After that, you stopped.
Yeah, after that I had to stop because
She was reluctant.
she was reluctant, and it would have been unfair
Yes, that's true.
me to push her, and she stopped talking to me for a couple of days. Obviously, not to encourage me to again ask her to get into that session, but the message stayed with me that you have to go back. Now, how that translated in the future,
Transpired. Yeah.
yeah.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।